Life was rolling along smoothly until an unexpected cancer diagnosis shook my world. With a staggering $204 million insurance payout, my plan to fight the disease and help others seemed within reach. But when my best friend, Karen, mistakes my cancer money as gambling money and loses $204 million in Vegas, it all went into spiral. Here's how it all went down. So life was just rolling along, you know? Nothing too crazy, just the usual ups and downs. Then, bam! Cancer hits me out of nowhere. Yeah, it was a real sucker punch, but I was determined to fight it with everything I had. And then came the insurance payout, a mind-blowing $204 million. I mean, who even thinks of such numbers, right? My plan was pretty simple: get the best treatment, and if there's anything left, help out others fighting the same battle. Now let's talk about Karen. She's been my best friend since we were in diapers, but man, she's a handful. Always loud, always stubborn, and a bit on the crazy side. When she found out about my diagnosis, she went all in, promising to be my rock, my support system. And she was, in her own chaotic way, until things took a wild turn. You see, I don't really have any relatives. It's always been just me, and now Karen. So, in a moment that I can only describe as a lapse in judgment, I gave her access to my bank accounts. I thought it was a smart move, a safety net of sorts. Boy, was I wrong. One day we were just hanging out at my place, laughing and trying to keep things light. My financial papers were all over the place, a constant reminder of the reality I was facing. Karen, being Karen, started poking around, her eyes practically popping out of her head when she saw the numbers. "Dude, this is insane! You're freaking loaded now!" she exclaimed, unable to hide her excitement. "Yeah, but it's not party money, Karen. It's for my treatment, and maybe helping out others who are going through the same thing," I tried to explain, hoping to bring her back down to earth. She just rolled her eyes, that stubborn glint in her eye shining brighter than ever. I should have seen the warning signs then, but I didn't. A few weeks later, I noticed huge chunks of money missing from my account. My heart dropped and panic set in as I tried to figure out what was happening. And then, the inevitable call from Karen. "Hey, it's me, Karen. Look, I know you're upset, but just hear me out," she started, her voice a mix of panic and defiance. "Upset? Karen, where's my money? What the hell did you do?" I was beyond angry, my heart pounding in my chest. "I took it to Vegas. I thought I could make it grow, you know? But then, I lost it. All of it," she blurted out, her voice shaky but with a hint of defiance. I was speechless. My mind was racing, trying to process what she had just said. My cancer money, all $204 million of it, gone. Just like that. I was a mix of emotions: angry, hurt, betrayed, but most of all, I was scared. That money was my lifeline, and now it was gone. "Karen, how could you? That money was for my treatment. I needed that," I finally managed to say, my voice low and steady. "I know I messed up, but there's nothing we can do about it now," she said, her voice filled with that stubborn determination and a hint of nonchalance. And then she was gone. No goodbye, no apology, just silence. She had run away, leaving me to pick up the pieces of my shattered life. The next few weeks were a blur. I was going through the motions, attending my treatments, trying to stay positive. But it was hard, knowing that my safety net was gone, all because of a stupid, impulsive decision. Karen was gone, vanished into thin air, leaving me to deal with the aftermath of her actions. I never heard from her again. Our friendship, once strong, was now a distant memory, tainted by betrayal and loss. I learned a lot from that whole ordeal, about friendship, trust, and the harsh realities of life. And as for me, I'm still here, still fighting, because that's what you do when life throws you a curveball. You keep going, no matter what, even when those you thought you could trust let you down. I started to focus more on myself, on my treatment, and on finding support in other places. I joined a support group, met other people going through the same thing, and realized that I wasn't alone. I had to be my own rock, my own support system. And you know what? I found strength I never knew I had. I learned to be resilient, to take each day as it comes, and to find joy in the small things. Life threw me a curveball, but I learned to hit it right back. What a roller coaster of a story. Can't believe Karen mistook the cancer money for gambling. That's just insane. It's a reminder to be careful who you trust with your finances. Sending love and strength to the author, you're a true fighter. Keep pushing through and never let anyone bring you down. I never expected a simple family gathering to escalate into a terrifying ordeal. As tensions rose and frustrations grew, I found myself questioning my actions and the consequences they would unleash. Little did I know, my attempt to protect a vulnerable baby would set off a chain of events that would forever change the dynamics within my family. Here's how it all went down. I have a 14-year-old cousin with Down syndrome who is generally a very nice girl. However, there is one major issue that cannot seem to be resolved. She coughs with her mouth wide open and coughs directly into people's faces. Since we are a close family, I see her quite often, and this becomes a problem almost every time. I have tried staying silent, but it is a serious problem. I have addressed this issue with my aunt, but she simply tells me to get over it because my cousin doesn't know any better. However, I have noticed that my aunt is not even making an effort to correct her behavior. She just sits around and allows her to continue coughing without saying something as simple as, "Let's remember to cover our mouth." I've told my aunt that she needs to address this issue, but she refuses to acknowledge it and continues to play the she can't help it card. 2 days ago, I reached my breaking point during a visit to my other aunt's house, where she has a newborn baby. They allowed my cousin, who has Down syndrome, to hold the baby while she was seated on the couch. Suddenly, she coughed loudly and directly into the baby's face, which immediately set off alarm bells in my head. Reacting instinctively, I couldn't help but raise my voice. "Stop! You'll make the baby sick!" I exclaimed, my concern for the newborn's well-being taking over. However, my aunt quickly dismissed my worries, accusing me of being overly dramatic and urging me to let it go. This response only fueled my frustration, and I couldn't hold back. "I'll let it go when you teach your daughter to cover her mouth when she coughs. It's not that hard," I retorted. I'm well aware that raising a child with Down syndrome presents its own set of challenges, and I have the utmost respect for those who navigate this journey. However, I firmly believe that teaching basic hygiene practices, such as covering one's mouth when coughing, is essential and achievable for every child. My words, however, did not sit well with my aunt. My cousin burst into tears, overwhelmed by the situation. My aunt, her face flushed with anger, told me that I should be ashamed of myself for causing such a scene. Without another word, they gathered their things and left in a hurry. I was left standing there, my heart racing, realizing that I had just caused a rift in the family. While my intentions were to protect the newborn, I couldn't help but wonder if I had gone about it the wrong way. Almost my entire family is calling me a jerk, saying I was being rude and ignorant. My grandma even said it was fine if she coughs in the baby's face because babies can't catch anything, which I know is not true. I do feel bad for the way I worded it, but this is an ongoing issue that my aunt refuses to help. So I have a relatively scary update, and I also want to clarify some things. In the comment section of that version of the post, I said how my aunt with the baby was very silent during the entire encounter. While that was the case, she was also very much pressured into letting my cousin hold her baby. My grandma and other aunt, cousin's mom, we'll refer to her as that from now on, kept saying over and over to let her hold him. She was overall reluctant and quiet, but they kept pushing and pushing. My cousin's mom even made a comment about her being ableist for not letting her hold him. She was submissive and caved in. I was also a good 10 feet away when I yelled. I want to make it clear, I yelled out of fear for the baby. Something I did not mention because it felt like too much to add and wasn't necessarily relevant to the story was that my cousin has a hitting, punching problem. She is very sweet, but when she gets upset, she will start hitting or even punching people. Her mom doesn't stop it because she insists she doesn't know any better, and insists hitting will help her calm down. Well, yesterday, my aunt with the baby called me sobbing, telling me that my cousin and aunt came over to see the baby and were pushed into letting her hold him once again. My cousin got into a fit and started slapping the baby in the face. Hard. My aunt rushed over and took the baby away. She reprimanded both my cousin and her mom. My cousin started crying, and my cousin's mom asked how dare she yell at them and kept playing the she doesn't know any better card. I believe she should be teaching her that it's not okay to hit a baby. My aunt kicked them out, and she told me she took the baby to either urgent care or the ER. Don't remember which. I have no idea how that played out, and I won't pry. My cousin's mom sent my aunt a message going on about how ableist she was and that she knew the risk of hitting by letting her hold him. Except they pressured her into it. That's all I have so far, and I'm in utter disbelief. And as for my grandma saying babies can't catch anything, she says that she was taught her whole childhood that babies are immune to everything. No idea what that's about. This is all for now. My aunt, who has a baby, called me last night. She informed me that she had taken her baby boy to the emergency room after my cousin slapped him. My grandma, in an angry phone call, threatened my aunt not to report my cousin's actions or face dire consequences. My grandma also defended my cousin's behavior by saying she doesn't know any better and that my aunt should just accept that my cousin hits people. Despite her anger, my aunt remained silent. I'm unsure what she told the ER staff, but thankfully, the baby did not suffer any serious injuries. After returning home, my cousin's mom called my aunt and criticized her for taking the baby to the ER, claiming it wasn't a big deal and that she was being dramatic. At the end of the phone call, my aunt told me that she has decided to cut off contact with them and apologized to me for potentially leaving me behind. I assured her that I would not be left behind because I have made the same decision. If these people believe it is acceptable for my cousin, who has Down syndrome, to assault babies and refuse to address her behavior, then they are not worth having in our lives. We are both going NC now. Seems like they should be responsible enough to teach, and not let her do things that will hurt others. Otherwise, she will have a hard time living and interacting with people in the future. Basic hygiene practices and understanding boundaries are important for everyone's well-being. I never imagined that my wedding would become a battleground, filled with secrets, resentment, and a stepson's animosity. As tensions escalated, and the truth about my fiancé's past infidelity was finally revealed, I found myself questioning whether I was the jerk in this tumultuous situation. Here's how it all went down. I am getting married to my fiancé, Alan, in December. Before me, Alan was married to Amy, and they had a son named Jay together. Amy and Alan slept together at a party when they were both 16, and Jay is the result of that. They tried their best to make their relationship work for 5 years, but eventually divorced because Amy cheated on Alan. Now the issue is that I met my husband when I was 25 and he was 28, which was nearly 6 to 7 years after his divorce with Amy. However, Jay seems to blame me for the divorce. Alan and Amy have decided not to tell Jay the real reason for their divorce until he's legally an adult. Because of this, Jay believes that if he pushes his father and mother together, they will get back together. I have nothing against Jay, but his actions have really hurt me. He seems to hold a lot of hatred towards me. Initially, I tried to be like a second mom to him, but neither he nor Amy liked it, which I understand. So I stopped trying and treated him as a friend instead. However, he talks down to me and calls me a homewrecker. To make matters worse, last week his friends messaged me, harassing me and asking for explicit things, even though I don't have an OnlyFans account. This has been the final straw for my fiancé. My fiancé is furious at Jay and wants to uninvite him from our wedding, and I feel the same way. However, Amy is against it. She believes I'm being too sensitive and thinks that this is normal teenage behavior. I'm unsure if my dislike for Jay is clouding my judgment, so please tell me, am I a jerk? We had already planned a discussion with Amy and Jay for tomorrow to sort out this tangled situation. However, just about 30 minutes ago, Amy, Alan, Jay, and I found ourselves in an impromptu sit-down talk. The conversation was stagnant, not really leading anywhere, until Alan, unable to contain himself any longer, let out the truth about Amy's past infidelity. I can't do this anymore. Amy, you cheated on me, and we've been hiding it from Jay for all these years, Alan exclaimed, his voice filled with a mixture of anger and desperation. Amy, caught off guard, went into a state of hysteria, initially denying everything. What, Alan? I have no idea what you're talking about, she retorted. But as the reality of the situation set in, she finally admitted to her actions. Okay, yes, I cheated, but it was a long time ago, Alan. We've moved past it, she said, her voice now softer, yet filled with tension. Jay, who had been silent up until this point, looked utterly confused and shocked. But surprisingly, he handled it much better than any of us expected. He didn't lash out. Instead, he seemed to internalize the information, reflecting on it. He looked ashamed, as if he was carrying the weight of the situation. I never thought you were a homewrecker or anything, Jay finally spoke, his voice low and filled with a mix of emotions. I was just jealous, I guess. Jealous that you got together with Alan, who has money, while my mom struggled through poverty with my dad. I could see the pain and realization in his eyes as he continued. I guess I just saw you as some kind of gold digger, even though I know you work and earn your own money. I'm sorry. He went on to admit that Amy had filled his head with negative thoughts about me when Alan and I first got together. He apologized for that, and for the messages his friends had sent me. I didn't know they were going to message you like that. I may have vented to them about what my mom said, but I never asked them to harass you. I'm really sorry, Jay said, his voice filled with genuine remorse. Throughout this entire ordeal, Amy was fuming, yelling and screaming at both Alan and me. Eventually, Alan had enough and decided to remove her from the situation. Amy, you need to leave. We need to sort this out calmly, Alan stated firmly, pointing towards the door. With Amy gone, the atmosphere in the room shifted. Alan and Jay shared a heartfelt hug, and for the first time in 3 years, I saw a glimmer of happiness in Jay's eyes. However, that moment of peace was short-lived. The initial guilt and shock soon gave way to anger, and Jay decided to move out of his mom's place and in with us. He was furious with Alan for keeping such a big secret from him, but surprisingly, he didn't hold any grudges against me. In fact, he made it clear that he didn't blame me for any of this. I'm mad at Mom, and I'm mad at Alan, but I'm not mad at you. I think I was just confused and angry about everything, Jay admitted, his tone sincere. So, as things stand now, it seems like we might actually be able to build a more friendly and supportive familial relationship moving forward. Jay formally apologized to me today and admitted that he had been feeling guilty for the past year. It seems that during a camping trip a few months ago with his girlfriend Maya, he confided in her about everything that had been happening. Maya was the first person to suggest that Amy was toxic and that there might be more to the story. Jay mentioned that he had asked Amy if there was anything he didn't know about Alan and her, but Amy declined to answer. Jay also acknowledged that Amy had been abusive towards him while growing up. There were instances when Amy would make him sleep outside her apartment on the days when she was on her period and wanted some time alone. Jay never approached us about this because Amy had portrayed me in such a negative light that he thought I would overreact and that Alan would stop inviting him over. Jay appeared on the verge of tears as he shared all this. He apologized and expressed his readiness for any consequences, pleading with us not to cut him off. I reassured him that cutting him off was never my intention and that we will work through this together. I also sent a message to Maya to thank her for consoling Jay and providing support. Jay and Alan want to go to court and change Amy's custody to visitation only, but I believe it's pointless since Jay will turn 18 in a couple of months. They want to wait until he is 18 so that he doesn't completely cut ties with Amy and can approach the situation in a more mature manner. Good thing you finally told Jay the truth. Amy is a real jerk for not helping and hiding the truth all these years. Hopefully you'll be able to build a good relationship with Jay now. My dad's cruel words echoed in my mind, reminding me of his belief that I would amount to nothing. Little did he know the events that would unfold in the coming days would test the limits of my resilience and push me to the edge of my sanity. Here's how it all went down. My dad is elderly and partially disabled. He walks with a cane and has mobility issues. Unfortunately, he is also a narcissist. 2 years ago, my mom passed away unexpectedly. She was the person I was closest to in my life, and her loss has been incredibly difficult to handle. My dad treats me as if I'm disposable. Despite this, I have done everything possible to help him. Within the past year, I've temporarily moved in with him to assist him, especially during his health issues and multiple hospitalizations. He was diagnosed with some level of heart failure and kidney disease, which was manageable until this year when it worsened due to his heart problems. I have taken on the role of his caretaker, even though I had reservations about it because of how he has treated me in the past. Occasionally my sister helps, but not enough to make a significant difference. She is currently not employed, and my dad provides her with financial support, perhaps as an attempt to gain her affection. She has distanced herself from him in the past when he was disrespectful, so now he tries to win her over by doing everything possible to please her. However, when it comes to me, he feels entitled to say hurtful things without any regard for my feelings. I have been facing difficulties in setting multiple boundaries, making it a tricky territory. Although I plan to move out and have been searching for an apartment, it has been challenging. However, in the meantime, it has become very difficult because I currently depend on him financially. I put my whole life on hold to be his caretaker, so when he dislikes something or is spoken to in a certain way, he threatens not to pay me for the following month. For example, it's almost the end of October, and something happened today. He stated that he won't pay me on November 1st and he doesn't want my help. This situation has escalated to a point where it's become unbearable. Today, as I walked into the room, I found his cane carelessly placed right on top of my laptop. Trying to keep my composure, I politely asked him to please be mindful and not put his cane on my laptop. His response was immediate and harsh. He accused me of constantly harassing him and dictating what he should do. He argued that my laptop shouldn't have been there in the first place since that's his usual spot for his cane. I took a deep breath, attempting to stay calm as I explained, "I'm not trying to harass you. I'm just asking you to be careful with my belongings. And besides, there have been a few instances lately where I've had to speak up for safety reasons." I brought up the incident from earlier in the day when he had spilled water on the floor, creating a slipping hazard. "I almost fell because of that water spill. I had to remind you to be more careful around the sink," I said, my voice steady. "And about the portable heater," I continued. "I've noticed that you tend to leave it on, even when you're not at home. It's a fire hazard, and I suggested turning it off when you leave for your own safety." He cut me off, his voice rising as he declared, "You're just harassing me. I don't want you around. I don't want to hear you talk, and I don't need your help." He went on to say that he won't be giving me any money on the 1st of the month, and that he will handle everything himself from now on. I stood there, taken aback by his words, realizing that this toxic environment is taking a toll on both of us. This is not the first time he has made such threats towards me. It has had a negative impact on my mental well-being to have to depend on someone who can be verbally abusive. I have been actively trying to extricate myself from this situation, but it has been challenging. I regret offering to help him because I had my own life, finances, and apartment before this. He has told me that I will never amount to anything in life and that I am irritating to be around, among other hurtful things. These comments make me feel extremely emotional and incredibly lonely. I am aware that I should not believe his words because he is a narcissist, but sometimes I still react to his remarks, which he then uses against me by saying, "See how emotional you're getting?" Today I managed not to react emotionally, but I did assert that his behavior is unacceptable. In response, he continued to berate me and eventually screamed at me to leave. I am currently in a very difficult emotional state because of this situation. He makes me feel like I cannot rely on him at all, and that he can change his emotions at any given moment. If he says he doesn't need you, then it may be time to consider leaving him or exploring the option of an elderly home where he can receive the care he needs. It's important for you to prioritize your own well-being and work towards building your own independent life. Remember, you have the strength and resilience to create a better future for yourself. Take small steps towards independence and seek support from friends, family, or professionals who can guide you through this challenging process. You deserve to live a life that is free from toxicity and filled with happiness and fulfillment. If you enjoyed today's stories, check out the other videos on your screen now. Submit your own stories at you'rethejerk.com. Subscribe now or you're definitely the jerk.